Good morning. We'll just give a moment to clear the waiting room. Good morning. This is the voting hearing of the Boston Licensing Board. Today is Thursday, March 7th, 2024. Today's hearing will be recorded and will be posted to the City of Boston's website. While the public is encouraged to attend, no additional testimony will be accepted this morning. We begin with the three transactional items that were heard on Tuesday, March 5th, 2024. Item number 1, Seaport Hotel Limited Partnership, doing business as Seaport Hotel, located at 1 Seaport Lane, has petitioned to change the manager of the licensed business to Janet Orellana, and has petitioned for a change of officers directors of its sole general partner, Commonwealth Flats Development Hotel Corp.
Thanks, Danny. I vote to approve Ms. Orellana as manager of record. I believe she has the appropriate character and fitness to serve, and I vote to approve the change of officers and directors.
I agree.
I agree.
Item number 2, Colonial Tavern Inc., doing business as Jacques Restaurant, located at 77 to 79 Broadway, has petitioned to change the manager of the licensed business to Henry D. Vara III, and has petitioned for a change of officers directors and a change of stock interest.
I vote to approve Mr. Vara as manager of record. I believe he has the appropriate character and fitness to serve. I vote to approve the change of officers and directors and the change of stock interest.
I agree.
Right. I agree as well.
Thank you. Item number 3, Cal Yummy Corp., doing business as Cafe Lava and Bento, located at 290 to 298 Washington Street in Brighton, has applied for a common victualler 7-day wines and malt beverages license. Manager, sorry.
It was on the other.
Correct. Manager Kim Tu Win, closing time 9 p.m.
I vote to approve Ms. Nguyen as manager of record. I believe she has the appropriate character and fitness to serve. I also vote to approve a license at this location pending the availability of one for which it qualifies.
I agree.
I agree.
Moving on to the license premise inspection hearing, which also occurred on Tuesday, March 5th, 2024. Item number 1, Tremont 958 Restaurant Corporation, doing business as Slade's Bar and Grill, located at 958 Tremont Street in Roxbury. Date of the incident, February 19th, 2023. Assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, a firearm, ×2, in front of licensed premise in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 15A.
I see no violation in this situation. And I also want to commend the staff and employees for cooperating with the police.
I agree. I agree with the commendation. I agree with commending them for refusing entry to the one of the shooters too. So, yep, no violation.
No violation. I agree.
No violation. Item number 2, 15 Beacon Street LLC, doing business as 15 Beacon Hotel, located at 15 Beacon Street. Date of the incident, January 21st, 2023. Over intoxicated person on premise in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64.
I see no violation.
I agree.
I agree.
Item number 3 will be continued to the next available hearing date. Item number 4, MYN Corp., doing business as Dublin Pub, located at 7 to 9 Stoughton Street in Dorchester. Date of the incident, August 9th, 2023. Assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, a machete, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 15A. Assault and battery, patron on patron, victim stabbed, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Failure to keep loiterers from in front of entrance and abutting, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64. Failure to notify police, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.14b. And failure to cooperate with police, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.10a and b.
To summarize, in my opinion, there was a fight that occurred at this location. I believe it started inside. Chaos ensued. It rolled outside. The police showed up and went inside to talk to the licensed premise, and they said they didn't know there was a fight that happened. So at the very least, there was a lack of security in operations. If there's someone who's stabbing someone with a machete outside of your licensed premise and you're not aware of that, I see that as a lack of security and proper staffing. I think these are very serious things that occurred. I think the fact that the staff didn't cooperate is very troubling to me. The staff did claim they didn't know anything had happened inside. Perhaps that is the case, but I believe they should have known that something happened inside. Taking these individually, well, first I'm going to take the first two together, the assault and battery with a machete and the assault and battery patron victim stabbed. Taking those together, the victim at the last hearing said it started inside, and I have to believe him there. And I believe the staff should have known. So I see a violation taking those two assault and batteries together. So I see a violation there.
Okay, so with regard to the assault and battery, the should have known, like, do you, because I didn't get to the bottom of this in my own mind, so I want to deliberate with you guys. Do you believe that they should have known that there was a machete on premises?
I believe that they should have known that an assault and battery had occurred.
Yeah, see, because what I was struggling with, I found the victim credible, but he also said that it kind of came up quickly, like out of nowhere. You know what I mean? So normally an assault and battery that like wasn't foreseeable, that comes up quickly, see no violation generally.
Okay,
With regard to the actual assaults, the presence of the weapon on site was the closest thing I could find to find the violation of the actual, you know, of the occurrence versus the cover up, right? I think we have two things going on here, kind of two, you know, headline situations. So for me, I wanted to know what your all thoughts were on the presence of the machete would have been the thing that I would hold them at fault for.
for the presence of a machete. Sure, but I also think that
with regard to what they might have been at fault for the actual assault and battery.
yes, but I also think for the fact that somebody got stabbed, machete or not, they are responsible for that too. That they should have known that someone was stabbed on their licensed premise.
Yeah.
About the cover up, I feel like if there is an altercation at this level inside a licensed premise and you don't know about it, there's a problem there.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
My thought process was that goes to failure to cooperate, failure to notify the police, that kind of stuff.
Well, if they didn't know, if they're saying they didn't know, I see that as separate.
Yeah.
I think if your staffing model is such that you don't know that a stabbing occurred, I think there's a real problem there for the safety of the other patrons. That's what I'm concerned about.
Okay, so
The other patrons.
that's where maybe the difference between you and I is that I didn't, their testimony that they didn't know, I didn't find it credible.
Oh, me either.
I
Yeah,
didn't find it to be an outright lie. I think they knew.
yeah. So I agree with, so I think we're in agreement, or you're disagreeing with me.
I'm not disagreeing or agreeing. What I'm saying is that in this situation, an assault and battery happened inside,
Yeah,
believe that they knew about it.
yes,
And I find them at fault for knowing about it and not doing anything about it.
yes.
But
me too.
are they at fault for the actual happening of the assault and battery?
I think so.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I don't think we disagree. I'm just like the line, like what I'm finding goes into not calling the police, not offering aid and assistance, all that kind of stuff. Versus like, could they have stopped an assault and battery before?
Yes, because their lack of security, or their security would have caught a knife.
Yeah, okay,
They had
I
proper
agree.
measures
Yeah.
in place. And
All
so
right.
Since the lack of security did not find the knife, then it is foreseeable that the knife would have been used.
yeah. And I felt like that was a close line and I just didn't want to like be unfair and find them at fault for that. So in that sense, I do find that the fact that someone had a machete on premises and was able to use it was a failure and led to this assault and battery. So I
Right.
find a violation as well.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure I had it like straight about
I
what.
appreciate that.
I didn't want to like double ding them for the assault and battery when I'm really feeling the worst part was the cover up.
Yeah,
So taking the first two together, the assault and battery with a dangerous weapon and just the assault and battery patron on patron, that was a unanimous vote for a violation?
Yes,
yes.
Okay.
And we did go back through their record. We can, if you want to move on, we can move on, but we did, as far as the assault and battery, we did go back through their record. There is no history of an assault and battery here. So I see this as a warning, for
in
this,
regard to the assault and battery.
yes.
Warning with correspondence that one, they're warning with correspondence that, yes, you should have known, or maybe you did and you covered up. I'm either way, I think the establishment should have done more. And then two, there should be some sort of security plan.
Yeah, and to pick up on what Commissioner Saxon's talking about, I actually think they should come back before us and go over the security plan with us in person. This is so serious. I think they need to put some thought into the security and operations plan and walk through it with us. Other patrons could have been seriously hurt that night. And they're lucky that no one else was injured.
Yes.
So along those lines, going into, I think one thing led to the other. They failed to keep loiterers from in front of the entrance abutting it, so I see a violation there. Failure to notify police, I see a violation, and failure to cooperate with police, I see a violation. I really do think everything stemmed from the lack of security and the lack of cooperation, as both the commissioners said. And given their lack of history, but also the seriousness of the allegations, I think they need to come back before us at the next hearing. Management needs to present the security and operations plan. It needs to be docketed and it needs to be kept on file.
Do you think there should be a separate warning for lack of cooperation? Maybe they can.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. So I would, a separate warning for the last three, each of them, I think. Because if they come back before us again for lack of cooperation or for failure to notify the police, to me, that would escalate to further discipline before the board.
Yeah.
Each of them individually.
Yeah.
And again, I feel like there needs to be cooperation at all levels of staff and security. And everyone needs to understand their responsibilities if they're working in these establishments.
Unfortunate.
Commissioner Curran, any comments or any votes?
I kind of think I already said it, but I don't think this was just a failure. I think this was a purposeful decision to try to cover this up. In that sense, I might even skip warning and go to some sort of suspension, maybe held in abeyance or something like that. If I thought this was just an oversight, I would vote for a warning, but I would vote for a suspension and maybe hold in abeyance because they haven't been warned with regard to this before, but.
For failure to cooperate, which you really as a cover up.
Yeah, failure to notify. I think the notify, they chose not to call the police because they didn't want the police there and then they failed to cooperate. They essentially kept that one officer locked up for some period of time. That's not acceptable at all. That officer should immediately go in immediately. The idea that they were cleaning up blood to cover it up, not acceptable. Very egregious. This wasn't just an oversight. This wasn't just a rogue employee who didn't realize that because they worked at a licensed premises, they had a duty to, answer all the questions that the police pose and all that kind of stuff. This was, like I said, I felt it was, and once again, I felt like it wasn't just, they testified they didn't know. I found that not credible. I find that in fact the opposite was happening, that they did know and they chose to, they thought it was in their better interest to cover it up instead of working with the police.
Commissioner Saxon?
I mean, I do see what Commissioner Liam is saying. I think. Yeah, I mean, if it's held in abeyance, how long, what's the longest time that we've ever held a suspension in abeyance? Is it 6 months? Is that usually?
I'm not sure, I don't.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at that.
Since we've been,
Yeah, I don't have that answer off the top of my head. Say, in my tenure here, I haven't seen an abeyance longer than 6 months. I'm sure they may have existed prior.
And I can see some value in that, holding it in abeyance. And I think it also drives home the fact that we take seriously the lack of cooperation with police. This really was chaotic, situation here with lots of lives at risk. I would consider that, but I'd like to hear from Commissioner Saxon.
I mean, yes, I definitely do see the severity of it. Because it's their first time, I'm wondering if there is, if we can hold it in abeyance a little bit longer.
Sure. So, okay, let me see if I can wrap this all together. So for,
Well, wouldn't holding it in abeyance longer be?
I
a
was
more
just going to
severe-
That
say,
was-
like, wait a minute,
What's
what's the,
severe?
That's the point I was gonna make.
what's the more lenient, yes, since we're skipping over warning, I wonder if there's a more lenient compromise between warning and holding
Yeah.
suspension.
Like a short period of
A
abeyance.
shorter period, so maybe
Correct.
it's, 4 or 5 months rather than the 6.
I would suggest trying to get them through the summer.
Uh-huh.
Where are we at?
This is March now,
March,
so
right.
getting
That would
them
be
to
6
September
months.
Okay, so then that would put us through September, right?
We could just say the end of August.
Yeah,
Okay. So a
Alright.
date certain,
Thank you.
yeah,
So until
Which is
August
pretty-
31st, just to clarify, which of the 5 violations here does the suspension held in abeyance apply to?
and I think that's the point of Liam saying it's the totality of the circumstances, if I understand what Liam is saying.
see, I think they need to be voted on individually. I would take into consideration, like the 2 assaults, I think should be taken together. And to me, that's a first warning. This is just, and feel free to disagree with me.
Yeah.
And then I would take failure to keep loiterers in front of the entrance a first violation. And then I would take failure to notify police and failure to cooperate with police together. So actually, in some ways, it could be seen as progressive discipline, first warning, second warning, but because of the seriousness of it, we're gonna, it sounds like the vote is for a suspension to be held in abeyance until August 31st.
I understand that, yes. And these are decision points where they could have made the decision better. And they chose to make the decision worse. They chose to make the whole circumstance worse. So I understand how we're getting from warning to first violation to suspension. Yeah, I get that. That makes sense to me.
I'm comfortable with that, but also having them come back in front of us. I want to hear from them about their security and operations plan. I want them to sit there and walk us through it.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to reinforce cooperation with police and notification to police.
Yeah.
Okay, so to read back what I think I heard is taking the first 2 together, assault and battery, dangerous weapon, assault and battery, patron on patron, together, that is a violation with a first warning.
Yeah.
Next, we have a failure to keep loiterers from in front of entrance and abutting. Similarly, that is a violation with a first warning. And then we have the failure to notify police and failure to cooperate with police taken together, a violation with a suspension that will be held in abeyance until August 31st. Should there be any further violations? Is this any violation of chapter 138 in our rules, or is this specifically any violations of failure to notify or cooperate with police that would trigger the suspension?
I think it's the latter, right?
Yes,
Yeah, it's the more specific, yeah.
Okay, and the length of the suspension that is to be held in abeyance?
It's a day, right? Can we say a day?
Yeah, you normally would start with the day.
1-day suspension held in abeyance until August 31st. Should there be any further violations involving failure to notify or cooperate with police? Additionally, correspondence from the board, and the board is requesting a security and operations plan that will also specifically outline cooperation with police and they will present this to us. Chairman Joyce, you want this on the next hearing date, or is there a date you want them to come back?
When is our next
Our
hearing?
next hearing date would be March 26th.
Yes, I think that's plenty of time.
In your correspondence, talking about cooperation with, the police, I'm not sure whether we've been specific about what that really entails. You know, that means being open, transparent, you know, you're offering video if you have any, you know, you're being honest. I mean, like those, if it needs to be spelled out, then it should be spelled out. Not just a blanket like cooperate, but you know, what does that really mean?
Thank you, and I presume these are also things that the board will be looking for in that security plan as well.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. I think we have this one tied up.
Thank you all, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Moving on, item number 5, Paga Inc. doing business as Icon, located at 100B Warrenton Street, stated the incident May 6th, 2023. Assault and battery bouncer on patron in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A.
I see no violation here.
I agree.
I agree.
Item number 6, K&K Restaurant Group Inc. doing business as Estella, located at 49 Temple Place. Dated the incident October 23rd, 2023, patrons drinking on public sidewalk in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and uncooperative with police in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.10 A and B.
I'd like to continue to keep the record open until we have an opportunity to review the video.
Yes.
We're in the process of getting it into a format that we can view on our computers
Sounds good.
The
and
vote will,
share.
vote will be deferred until the board has a chance to review all submitted video. Item number 7, Massimino's Cucina Italiana Inc. doing business as Massimino's, located at 205 to 207 Endicott Street. Dated the incident October 2nd, 2023. Assault and battery indecent employee on employee on premise in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 22. Failure to call 911 after incident in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.14b. And a blocked fire exit in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.06a.
It's my belief this was not handled with the seriousness it deserved. You had one employee who was afraid to come back to work and another employee who was the cause of that fear and was allowed to continue to work and still continues to work there. I don't think it's my role to tell the owner what to do as far as the situation, but I was bothered by the way this was handled. The owner did mention he instituted sensitivity training. At the very least, I want to get more information about what this training entailed, what the dates were of the training, and what and who was trained. That being said, I wasn't able to get to a violation in this situation here.
With regard to the assault and battery,
Yes, yeah.
yeah, I think the evidence maybe touched on. Maybe there would have been some foreseeability, but I agree. I don't think we quite had enough. I think because there's an ongoing criminal case maybe. And the sensitivity of the matter in our form, we weren't able to get enough information for me to get over the line. So if we're only talking about that, the first one, I saw no violation as well. But I second your concern and need for information regarding the training that he stated he gave.
It wasn't foreseeable, but definitely would love some correspondence about making sure that that establishments do everything they can to keep everyone safe. I mean, this is 2004. A woman should be able to work without getting assaulted and being able to go back to work without fear.
I agree. Failure to call 911 after the incident, I think based upon the information the owner had, I don't think I see a violation for failure to call 911. I think at that time, of the incident. I don't think he had enough information to call 911. I think it was a he said, she said thing. I know that goes against the fact that I thought it was very serious. I don't think it does, though. I think the information he was given at the time, and he allowed the woman to, take whatever time she needed. I don't necessarily think the information he had at the time, was something that, a reasonable person would have thought to call the police on. But I do see a violation for the fire exit.
With
Okay.
regard to the failure to call the police, I feel like, is there anything we can do with regard to going forward? Maybe with him and maybe all license holders, because what really bothered me was he was saying that from the very beginning, he didn't know what to do. And it seemed like he almost didn't do anything because he didn't know what to do.
I think he should have called the police. I mean, like when we have, you know, other incidences when there's, you know, a punch thrown or, you know, there's a scuffle, like we say, you know, you call the police. And so, I mean, I think this, if she's saying that, you know, she was groped, assaulted or whatever, I think that's upon that word, you call the police and you let the police do their investigation, do the detective work, you know, to ferret out what exactly happened. It's not on the establishment to make a factual determination. They should just call the police. And I think we've said that, you know, enough to other establishments about other incidences that may not have even been as serious as this one.
So my hesitation there, and I felt, you know, I felt like he should have called the police in some sense, but also I don't know if we got to the bottom of exactly what was conveyed to him about exactly what happened. And there was a bit of a, you know, he was saying he was asking the victim what she wanted him to do. And we've seen this before, and it's really shouldn't be up to the victim. I think we want them to default to just calling the police and letting the police handle the privacy and sensitivity matters. But my question was he enough on notice that he needs to call the police?
I didn't think so.
Yeah,
I think he should have dismissed the guy from work that day. He called the victim and he said, what do you want me to do? She said nothing. I think he should have sent that guy home that day until he figured out what happened and got more information. Instead, he let the guy work. And it wasn't until after she went to the police station, I think he realized how serious it was, and he still allowed him to work.
Yeah.
I don't think he had all the information that first day until she went to the police. So
What was he, what was he told that day?
that he was like flirty and she was uncomfortable downstairs putting the chairs away. And then he talked to him, and based on his knowledge of him, I think he thought it was, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I got the impression he didn't appreciate the seriousness of it because the information he got from the woman, it didn't seem to be as serious as it seemed to be later on after she went to the police and had an opportunity to think about what happened. My biggest issue was he just went about the day, let the guy continue to work. I understand the man has children and a family, but he should have been dismissed that day until further investigation.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
I think the woman was in a safe place and was recovering from what happened emotionally and physically. And then it was after she went to the police station, I think he got the information, and I think that was worse that he then continued to let him work. That's just my opinion. I don't think he had all the information in real time. He wasn't there, and no one else added to the conversation or gave him additional information. But I agree, like I think if something was made, we have had other fact patterns where I think it's clearer to me in real time that someone might still feel unsafe and the person should call the police. I see what you're saying, Commissioner Saxon, though, but I didn't get to a full, like a violation there.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. If he didn't know, even in, if he didn't know that there was an assault that day, then, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I remember he said, yes, I received the violation, and that's right.
And that's needed as sensitivity training, which I think we need more information on.
I'm
So
sorry, Liam.
I think I still have some, see, I'm willing to entertain the idea that in this instance, on that day and just after it, he might not have fully been on notice that for us. I think the expectation would have been to call the police here, but maybe he wasn't fully on notice of that. What I'm not comfortable with is that if we find no violation here, that he's now not on notice, that we really did expect him to call the police, and now he should be on notice of that. And
Okay.
maybe all license holders should be on notice that this is, something like this is a call the police moment.
I agree. That's so let's try to work that into our correspondence.
Mhm.
And moving forward, I think we could take this hard line here that if someone is made aware of something like this happens, they need to call the police.
Mhm.
Whether or not they believe anything, what they believe, regardless of what they believe.
Or if the victim says they don't want the police call, that kind of thing, because it's the same kind of thing. We've had like fights. And the premises comes in and says, we asked them if they wanted us to call the police and they said no. And it's like, no, punches are thrown, blood is flowing. You should have taken the initiative and called the police, regardless of what the victim is saying. I don't want the police involved.
Right.
And in my notes from the hearing of the day, I have that safety of all employees is paramount, and this was a risk he took. This was a real risk he took by not calling the police and letting the guy continue to work. It's still a risk.
Yeah, it's the risk he's
And-
taking, yeah.
I know business is all about calculating risks, and I think this is a calculation that he really should reconsider,
Mhm.
given the information he has.
I think that should definitely go in the correspondence.
as to the failure to call 911, Commissioner Saxon, do you find a violation there?
I think from the facts that have been clarified, I will withdraw the violation there.
But I would like to send our correspondence addressing this.
Mhm.
Yes. And as to the blocked fire exit, that's the one we haven't gotten to yet.
Yeah, that's a violation.
Violation.
Yes.
Violation and the disposition of the violation.
A warning.
I think he should also have some sort of plan, some kind of,
I'd like to request that in writing too.
Yep.
I want to know what he did for sensitivity training, but I would like to see that in writing.
Yes, we have that. So the board will be requesting documentation of the training that was provided following this incident. Who did the training, who was trained, what topics were covered. Commissioner Saxon, what kind of plan are you thinking of?
I mean, we're really just talking about safety of employees. So, is it a security plan? Is it a staffing plan? It's something to make sure that his staff is safe.
Chairman Joyce, Commissioner Carr, anything to add on a plan the board would like to see?
No, I just, maybe I need to clarify. I would like the correspondence to state that for me, and maybe, I don't know if you to endorse it, but for me, the no violation on failure to call was really specific to it wasn't clear that he had noticed that this was a call to police situation.
Yes.
And now he knows, and now everyone should know, hopefully. I don't know. I mean, for me, it feels like we should even do like an advisory or something like that to license holders. If that's something we could do. Kind of like maybe this was the fact pattern, this is what happened. We found no violation because maybe it wasn't clear that this is a call to police moment, but just to be clear to everyone, this is a call to police moment.
Sure, or that it had had the licensee understood the gravity of the situation, they should have called the police regardless of whether the victim
Yeah.
asked them to or not.
Yep.
Something along those lines.
Yeah,
Okay, so we have no violation on the first two counts. Correspondence from the board that we've just talked about, requesting documentation of the training that was put in place after the incident, and a written plan concerning employee conduct, I suppose.
Employee conduct, I think I think that's fair, yes.
And for the blocked fire exit, a violation with a warning.
yes. And Danny, when we receive this plan, will this go on old and new business to be acknowledged by the board? I just want to make sure it's publicly acknowledged that we received it.
We certainly can.
Mhm.
All right, moving on, item number 8, Remington Boston Employers LLC, doing business as the Hilton Boston Back Bay, located at 40 Dalton Street. Dated incident December 21st, 2023, armed robbery with a knife on premise in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and a change of manager without notifying the licensing board in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64.
As far as the armed robbery with a knife on premise, I don't think this was foreseeable and I see no violation.
Yeah, I didn't see any facts that, would make them responsible.
I agree.
And as for the change of manager,
Well, we have the application on file, so
we do, it's in process now.
But they also said that the manager that does still actually work for them, he just, like in a different geographic location.
yeah, and I think these corporate changes take time on their end, so I can see why, as long as we have the application on file and they're moving forward with it, I'm comfortable.
So no violation?
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to non-hearing transactions. The following are applying for a new common victular license at a previously licensed location. Item number 1, Los Alebrijes Restaurant LLC, doing business as Los Alebrijes, located at 192 Sumner Street in East Boston. Manager Gerardo Espinoza, hours of operation 8 a.m. to 2 a.m.
I vote to approve.
I agree.
I agree.
Item number 2, Russ and Mimi's LLC, doing business as Russ and Mimi's, located at 16 Birch Street in Roslindale. Manager Kelly Walsh, hours of operation 7 a.m. to 9 p.m.
I vote to approve.
I agree.
I agree.
Item number 3, GST Groups Inc., doing business as Gigantic Wonton, located at 170 Brighton Ave in Alston. Manager Jan Fung Liu, hours of operation 10:30 a.m. to 11 p.m.
I vote to approve.
I agree.
I agree.
And item number 4, Abuela's Table Inc., doing business as Abuela's Table Mexican Restaurant, located at 413 Center Street in Jamaica Plain. Manager Edwin Perez, hours of operation 11 a.m. to 11 p.m.
I vote to approve.
I agree.
I agree.
Following have applied for a one-day amendment to their existing license. Item number 1, AHF Speedway Holdings LLC, doing business as the Charles River Speedway, located at 1420 to 1440 Soldiers Field Road in Brighton, has applied to extend their license onto the patio area outside of Notch Brewing's license area for St. Patrick's Day on March 17th between 12 and 7 p.m.
I vote to approve.
I agree.
I agree.
Item 2, Notch Brighton Taproom LLC, doing business as Notch Brighton Taproom, located at 1420 to 1440 Soldiers Field Road in Brighton, has applied to include the space in Garage B for a vendor market on March 17th and March 28th from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m.
I vote to approve.
I agree, sorry.
I agree.
And item number 3, Boston Culinary Group, Inc., doing business as the Orpheum Theater, located at 1 Hamilton Place, has applied for a series of amendments to include extending onto Hamilton Place for concerts on March 15th and 16th, 23rd and 24th, April 5th, 13th, 26th, and 27th from 5:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m.
I vote to approve.
I agree.
The board has before them a list of applications for special one-day alcohol licenses, which have been administratively reviewed by staff and approved by the board. And one item on old and new business, the board has received correspondence from Paradis Lagardère at Boss 2022 F&B LLC, doing business as Fox and Flight. This is within Terminal A at Logan Airport in East Boston, requesting an increase in capacity administratively from 45 to 105. This is just based on new numbers from Massport. No construction has taken place.
Sure, vote to approve or acknowledge.
I agree.
I agree.
Thank you. These are all the items before the board today, and that will adjourn this morning's hearing. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.